47. Romanticized. Author's POV. She neither turned nor responded, struggling to face him now that she understood the depth of her feelings. This isn't infatuation. It's love. Pure love. Jackie waited with a smile, but when she remained silent, it gradually faded. Love? He called again, his voice softer this time, almost a plea. Lavanya squeezed her eyes shut, inhaling sharply. Stop calling me that, sir. Please. He relaxed, knowing at least she was speaking to him. Can't do that, he smirked, stepping forward to stand beside her. His gaze drifted over the city skyline, hands tucked into his pockets. She glanced at him briefly, but the moment he turned slightly to meet her eyes, she quickly looked away. Smirking at her reaction, he shifted his stance, leaning against the waist-high cement railing, his right elbow resting casually on it. He crossed his legs and kept one hand in his pocket, watching her with quiet amusement. Come on, Miss Lavanya, he teased. Stop playing hide-and-seek with me. I know you're happy to see me back. You missed me. His tone was laced with confidence. I didn't, she denied immediately. You did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. I said no, she snapped, finally turning to glare at him, eyes flashing in frustration. I say yes, he countered smoothly. No. Yes. No, no, no. Yes, 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 he teased, grinning mischievously. No. She gritted her teeth in irritation. No. Yes, she shot back, only to realize her mistake. Jackie's smirk widened. Gotcha, he winked, laughing at her. Lavanya's mouth fell open in disbelief. He tricked me? Fuming, she clenched her jaw. Well, why would I miss you? She challenged. Why wouldn't you? He countered, eyes twinkling. After all, you... He trailed off, watching her expression shift anxiously. She held her breath, heart pounding. Love me? She expected him to say it. Instead, he smirked. Had no one else to share your lunchbox with? She blinked in surprise, then sighed in relief. Miss Lavanya, he murmured, watching her closely. You hide so many things in that little brain of yours, but you're a terrible liar. I've known that since the day I met you. She swallowed hard, avoiding his gaze. A brief silence settled between them. Then, with a quiet sigh, Jackie reached out and gently grasped her wrist. Shh. She winced in pain. He instantly let go, his brows furrowing. What happened? Nothing. She quickly tucked her arm behind her stole, but he had already seen it. His eyes darkened. What happened to your wrist? Nothing, she insisted, shaking her head. Her refusal to admit her pain ignited something in him. Irritation, concern, something deeper he couldn't name. Without hesitation, he straightened and firmly took her right wrist again. Lavanya gasped as he pulled her towards him in a swift motion, making her stumble. Ah! She winced again, glancing down at her arm. Jackie ignored it. His grip was gentle yet firm, his other arm wrapping around her waist, holding her close, too close to escape. Slowly, she lifted her gaze. And in that moment, their eyes locked, an unspoken battle of emotions neither could deny. She was breathing heavily, the closeness making her restless. Her hand remained in his grasp as he leaned against the wall, his gaze so intense and full of emotion that she couldn't look away. So many secrets hidden in these eyes, he murmured, narrowing his gaze. His warm breath fanned across her face, making her close her eyes. Even her lips trembled, so she bit down on them to steady herself. Seizing the moment, he gently pulled her stole away from her arm and examined it. Red bruises? What the hell happened? Your arm looks like a tomato, he exclaimed. Lavanya opened her eyes, finding him staring at her arm with concern. How adorable and caring he is, she thought, unable to take her eyes off him. How did this happen? Do you have some kind of allergy? He asked. When he looked up, she quickly averted her gaze, afraid he'd see the emotions swirling inside her. No, she answered softly. These are burn marks. What? He furrowed his brows, re-examining her arm, guilt flickering across his face for clutching her wrist earlier. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." She shook her head before he could even finish. "How did this happen?" he demanded. "It was just an accident. I was walking too fast and bumped into Ruhi. She was carrying hot coffee mugs." He sighed dramatically. "Of course, how could I forget? Accidents and Lavanya, you two can't seem to stay away from each other. In fact, Accident should be your middle name. Miss Lavanya Accident Verma," he teased. She didn't respond, simply lowering her head to hide her flushed cheeks. "Is it hurting?" he asked, his voice husky. She shook her head slowly without meeting his eyes. "No," he repeated, seeking confirmation. She nodded. "Then I suppose I can squeeze it tighter," he whispered mischievously. She gasped, finally looking up at him. "Should I?" he asked with a smirk. Her breath hitched, and she shook her head in silent surrender, her eyes betraying her pain. Seeing the vulnerability in her expression, his teasing melted into tenderness. A moment of silent understanding passed between them before he gently lifted her arm to his lips. She stiffened as his lips brushed over the burn marks, her heartbeat quickening. Every light kiss sent a ripple of warmth through her, making her breath uneven. As he reached her upper arm, she shivered. The cold wind didn't help. She instinctively tried to step back, but he held her firmly in place. "Sir," she whispered, but he ignored her protest, his lips tracing their way up to her shoulder. Then, resting his chin on her shoulder, he closed his eyes. "I missed you so much, love." He tilted his head slightly, his forehead pressing gently against the side of hers, causing her to tilt her head in response. Her eyes fluttered shut. For a moment, she let herself forget everything, her fears, her doubts, her reality. She simply surrendered to the moment. They stood there, lost in time, wrapped in the kind of closeness that spoke volumes without words. She never imagined that a notorious flirt like Jackie Dawson could express love in such an intimate, patient way. It was perfect. Just like the moment she had dreamt of with the man she would spend her life with. The storm inside her heart quieted, soothed by the rhythm of his breath, warm against her skin. Though he belonged to a different country and culture, though he wasn't Indian, though he was the complete opposite of everything she had grown up with, he was still the perfect partner for her, just as she had always dreamt. They were like two halves of a whole, complementing each other in ways she was yet to fully understand. His tender gestures pulled her closer to him, but she was still bound to another, a commitment she couldn't break, even if deep down, she knew she needed to. Lavanya longed to embrace him, to tell him how much she loved and missed him when he was gone. Jackie, too, wanted to confess his feelings, to tell her how much he had thought of her every day they were apart. "I wanted to see you there in my mansion, introduce you to the only woman I love other than you." Leaning back against the fence, he turned his head to look at her. The way she stood still, eyes closed, lost in the moment, reminded him of how she had hugged him at the Taj Mahal. He didn't want to ruin this moment like he had before. She will run away. He knew it, but he also knew they couldn't stay like this forever. If he wanted this moment to last a lifetime, he had to win her heart completely. And to do that, he needed to know exactly what place he held in hers. Shifting his expression back to his usual smirk, he finally spoke. "Hey, love." She didn't respond. He shook her gently by the hand. "Did you fall asleep?" Her eyes flew open, anxiety flickering across her face. He chuckled. Okay, bad joke." He paused before adding, "But I do have something important to ask you." She looked up at him, uncertainty in her eyes. "It's really been on my mind because, to be honest, it scared the hell out of me." He chuckled lightly, trying to keep the mood light. "So, for future reference, you know." He pouted slightly, shrugging his shoulders but still keeping her within his arms. "I just need to know, do you, Walk in your sleep? She frowned, confused. It was the second time he had asked her this. Why are you asking me that again and again? She questioned in a quiet, cautious voice. There was a short pause before he spoke again, hesitating. Because I kinda saw you walking around at midnight. Her eyes widened in alarm. What? She blinked rapidly, panicking. When? Yesterday. Where? I can't tell her the whole truth, she'll feel awkward. He decided to withhold part of it. At the parking lot of your building. She exhaled, visibly relieved. Smiling weakly, she lied. No, I was just checking my bike. Really? He raised an eyebrow, knowing she wasn't telling the truth but pretending to believe her. At midnight? She let out a nervous chuckle. Yeah, obviously. I do that once in a while. You know how my bike cheats me in the morning? He nodded, pretending to accept her explanation, but internally he was laughing. Then, with a mischievous glint in his eyes, he decided to push her a little further. Oh, I thought you were just out for a midnight stroll. The moment he finished speaking, all expression vanished from her face. That would have been a better answer. She felt like an idiot now, but there was no way to take back her words. Sticking to her lie, she forced a nervous chuckle. Ha! Who goes for a walk at midnight? I do, he replied in a serious tone. She blinked at him blankly, her expression now mirroring his seriousness. A tense silence followed. Then, just as she started overthinking, he burst into laughter. First a quiet chuckle, then full-blown amusement. I was just messing with you, he admitted between laughs. She rolled her eyes. Of course. No matter what, whenever they were together, they always ended up smiling. Yet, neither of them was willing to say out loud what was becoming increasingly obvious. Without a word, she pried his arm away from her waist and stepped back. His laughter faded instantly. She stared at him, a silent storm of emotions brewing in her eyes, as if she had countless unspoken complaints. He in turn watched her expectantly, hoping she would be the one to finally confess first. After taking a few steps backward, she turned and walked toward the terrace door. But then, she hesitated. Glancing back at him, she saw he was still watching her, his confusion evident. She resumed walking. Then, once again, she turned her head slightly, catching a glimpse of him from the corner of her eye. He hadn't moved. He continued staring at her, feeling slightly confused, unsure of what to say to stop her once again. He had hoped she would return, but now, the choice was hers to make, so he waited. Little did he know that the girl he loved had already made a decision, one that could lead them to a lifelong tragedy. When she turned to look at him one last time, he smiled at her, unaware of the turmoil within her heart. She slowly looked away, guilt creeping into her soul, and then descended the stairs.
Lavanya's POV. It was a strange feeling. I couldn't stop smiling, replaying the moment we shared on the terrace. Yet deep inside, I knew it was nothing more than a fleeting illusion, a dream that would shatter the moment reality came crashing down. Should I tell Mr. Dawson about my engagement? Should I reconsider this marriage? It seems like he likes me too. The way he... A sudden knock on my cabin door snapped me out of my thoughts. Before I could respond, the door opened and Virat sir stepped inside. Lavanya? Yes, sir? I stood up quickly, brushing off my daydreams. You're coming to my house today after work. What? Why? Just to meet my family. And besides, you've never seen my house, have you? He grinned. I parted my lips to protest, but before I could say a word, he cut me off. No buts, you're coming. I've already spoken to your parents. Leave your bike here. I'll drive you home afterward and I'll pick you up in the morning. No excuses, okay? His tone left no room for argument. Slowly, I nodded with a weak smile. He leaned in slightly and whispered, "See you." Then he left. I sank into my chair, feeling suffocated. Oh no, why do I always end up back in the same situation just when I thought I might finally find a way out? I know this is my fault, but can't a person be forgiven for making one mistake? Mistake? Are you kidding? How can you call him a mistake? Why have you convinced yourself that Virat was a mistake and Jackie Dawson is a reward? You're so selfish, Lavanya. You were happy with Virat, and now that someone else has entered your life, you're suddenly calling your past a mistake? Do you realize what people will say? That you left Virat just because he wasn't as wealthy as Dawson, that he was just employee while Dawson was the boss. How will you answer when fingers start pointing at you? The same people who once gossiped about your relationship with Jackie Dawson, who accused you of being an opportunist, have gone silent because he left and you stayed with Virat. But if you walk away now, the whispers will return. Louder, crueler. This time, they won't just call you desperate, they'll call you a cheater. But I don't love him anymore. Are you even listening to yourself? I buried my face in my hands, disgusted with myself. How did I become so confused, so selfish?
Jackie's POV. I walked back to my office with a triumphant grin and resumed working on my laptop. I know you like me, Miss Lavanya. You proved it today. As the workday ended, I stepped out of my office and opened the door to her cabin, but it was empty. She left already, so soon. Taking the lift downstairs, I unlocked my car, but then noticed her bike still parked in its usual spot. She's still here. I immediately dialed her number. She rejected my call. I tried again. Ignored. Again. No answer. How dare she? Calm down, Dawson. Don't you remember how she hated you when you let your ego get the best of you? I clenched my fists, exhaled sharply, and counted down in my head. 10, 9, 8, 7. Phew. Regaining control over my emotions, I scanned the area for anyone still lingering around. Except for 2 security guards, the place was deserted. Hey, I called one of the guards over, the one who usually helped Lavanya with her bike. Yes, sir? He jogged toward me. You know the girl who owns this bike, right? I pointed at her vehicle. He glanced at it and nodded. Yes, sir. Lavanya madam, nah? Yeah. Have you seen her? Yes, sir. Madam already left. Without her bike? It didn't start? I asked, furrowing my brows. I don't know, sir, but she left with her friend. Friend? Oh, Miss Ruhi, I assumed. No, sir, with her other friend. I don't remember his name. He's the manager. Don't know which department. My mood shifted instantly. His? Virat Oberoi? I clenched my jaw. Yes, Oberoi, sir, took her in his car. A surge of rage burned through my veins. My jealousy twisted into something unbearable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Screw that bastard. He just can't resist taking advantage of my absence, can he? May I go, sir? The guard asked hesitantly. I barely acknowledged him, waving him away. Good night, sir, he said before rushing back to his post. Frustrated, I kicked the front tire of my car. Why does she do this? One moment she's with me, the next she's with him. Can't she see how much this hurts me? Does she even feel the same way I do? Or am I completely wrong about her?
Lavanya's POV. Virat sir took me to his house. While we were in the car, Mr. Dawson called me several times, but I rejected his calls to avoid creating a scene. I wanted to talk to him, but I didn't have the courage to answer in front of Virat sir. I know you must be wondering why I'm ignoring your calls, sir. But if I pick up, Virat sir will be furious. Please, try to understand and stop calling me for now. When we arrived, I saw that his house was a beautiful bungalow in a well-maintained society. His family welcomed me warmly, their faces beaming with happiness and affection. I spent the next hour listening to them express their joy at seeing me again. They spoke excitedly, their words overlapping, but I could only manage polite smiles in response. When they invited me to stay for dinner, I declined as respectfully as possible. My parents are waiting for me, I explained. After about 2 hours, I finally turned to Virat sir and requested, "Sir, could you please drop me home?" "So soon?" Ritika pouted. "No, beta, it's getting late. She needs to go home." Her mother spoke on my behalf. "I'm sorry, my parents will be worried," I added politely. "It's okay, beta. We know you're a responsible girl. You'd never trouble your parents." Ritika's mother reassured me. Then she turned to her daughter with a playful scolding. "See how well-mannered she is? Learn something from her." She lightly smacked Ritika's shoulder, making her pout. The whole family laughed, except Ritika and me. After exchanging goodbyes and taking blessings from the elders, I left. Virat sir drove me home, talking the entire way about his plans for our wedding. I kept nodding and smiling, but I wasn't really listening. My mind was occupied by his aunt's words. "You're such a responsible girl. You'd never trouble your parents. See how good she is. Learn something from her." By the time we reached my apartment, I was lost in thought. "Good night, Lavanya," Virat sir said as he stopped the car. "Good night," I replied weakly. "I love you," he whispered. I froze, staring at him in silence. I wanted to respond, but no words came out. "Won't you say something?" he asked. I opened my mouth, but again, nothing. He huffed in frustration, his lips pressing into a thin line. Looking away, he muttered, "Bye, Lavanya." I hesitated for a moment before stepping out of the car and waving at him. He didn't respond, simply turning the car around and driving off. What's his problem? I climbed the stairs to my apartment, but his aunt's words kept echoing in my ears. "You're such a responsible girl. You'd never trouble your parents. See how good she is. Learn something from her." They didn't sound like compliments anymore. They felt like warnings, heavy with unspoken expectations. When I reached home, I told my parents I had already eaten at Virat sir's house, a lie to avoid their concern. Without dinner, I went straight to my room. Even as midnight passed, the words kept ringing in my mind, twisting into something darker. My conscience was no longer interpreting them as praise, but as pressure. "You are a very responsible girl. No, you're the most irresponsible girl. You would never trouble your parents. How could you hurt them like this? You're nothing but a burden. See how good of a girl she is. See how selfish you are. Learn something from her. Don't be like her. She's a disgrace. No, stop it." Tears streamed down my face as I clutched the pillow tightly over my ears, trying to drown out the voices in my head. "I'm not a bad person," I sobbed, squeezing my eyes shut, but the words refused to leave me. "You hurt them like this. You're nothing but a burden. See how good of a girl she is. See how selfish you are. Learn something from her. Don't be like her. She's a disgrace. No, stop it." Tears streamed down my face as I clutched the pillow tightly over my ears, trying to drown out the voices in my head. "I'm not a bad person," I sobbed, squeezing my eyes shut, but the words refused to leave me.